On your screen, you'll see a list of agenda items that we will cover during today's sessions. We will discuss the programs, admission requirements, and resources available to distance learners. We will also share some information about the University of Alabama and the College of Engineering. We will hold a questions and answer period at the end of the session. To ask a question, just type it in the text box found on the bottom left-hand side of the screen like this. And feel free to type your questions into the box during the session. We'll address your questions at the end of the presentation. We are recording this session. The recorded session will be placed on our website for future reference. So if you'd like to watch the session one more time, feel free to, you'll be able to do so. It's either on our website, and we'll also provide you with a link to the recorded session in an email later on, and you will have it, all the information about the programs, the presentation, and also all the important emails. And Dr. Todd, would you like to go over the program overview for us?
Sure, thank you, Sam. So mechanical engineering is one of the broadest of the engineering degree programs. It can prepare someone to participate in a wide variety of industries. I like to tell prospective students that anyone who is involved in some type of energy transfer, anyone who is involved in creating a product is either going to employ a few or a whole lot of mechanical engineers. So on this slide, it shows the types of industry that hire our graduates, and as you can see, it's very broad-based. So the typical student in our program is someone who is employed full-time. This program was created for that type of student. The average age right now is about 32, and I will say from my experience interacting with our students, many of our students do have young families. I have talked with students from New York to Arizona, Massachusetts, Florida, and I think we may have a student in Alaska, but so our students, they're like all over. And so we are still, through all of the technology that's available to us, we are still able to deliver many of our courses to students without them leaving wherever they live, and they seem to have very good success rate participating in our program. Our program is blended, so it is not possible to complete all of the courses through distance offered by the University of Alabama. We'll be talking about some courses, some of the early courses that we encourage you to take and complete at a local community college or from some other campus or university institution online. And there are also 3 lab courses in our program. So I want to emphasize that we offer the same program to our distance students and the same courses as what you would take if you were doing our on-campus Bachelor of Science Mechanical Engineering program. And so there are 3 hands-on lab courses. AEM 251, which is a materials lab, ME 360, which is an electromechanical systems lab, and ME 460, which is a thermal fluid systems laboratory. Now, the AEM 251 is possible that you may find someplace locally that you can take that. But I want to be clear that due to certain aspects of the course, ME 360 and ME 460 must be taken through the University of Alabama, either at the Gadsden location or in Tuscaloosa. Our degree program consists of 126 semester credit hours. A quarter of those courses must be earned through the University of Alabama. That's the university's requirement as to what a transfer student must have to get a degree from Alabama. Up to 50% of the coursework can be taken at a 2-year institution, such as a community college, but you cannot take more than 50% of the coursework from a community college because there is a limit as to what the university will allow from a 2-year institution. Okay, we can go forward now. So, courses are taught by the same faculty who teach the on-campus students. There are a variety of formats. The typical format is that we will teach our class, it will be video recorded, it will be uploaded to the internet, and you can watch it through video streaming. So I think one of the requirements of this program is you need to have a pretty good internet connection. The required courses are offered at least once during the academic year, and I would say currently in this program with this delivery format, required courses you should expect to only be offered once per year. There are a couple lower level courses that we do offer twice, but so in terms of thinking about long range planning, you should be thinking offered once a year. Every semester we offer a couple elective courses by the distance format. So there are opportunities to take a variety of electives, and academic advising with professional advisors through our advising center is provided and required each semester. Of course, that can all be done through email or over the telephone. So the general core curriculum of the university is 30 credit hours. So like just about every other program in the United States, we have an English Composition 1 and 2. Like just about every other engineering program, we have Calculus 1, 2, and 3. We have a general chemistry requirement, that includes a lab, and we have 2 calculus-based physics courses that are required. They each also have a laboratory. And with the exception of the English composition, none of these courses is currently offered through a distance format. However, it is possible to transfer all of these courses into the university through another institution. There's also a general requirement regarding humanities and behavioral sciences, which adds up to 6 courses that a student would need to take. And again, those courses can be taken anywhere. The university also has currently a computing requirement that is satisfied through the engineering analysis course and the dynamic systems course. And as I've already mentioned, the labs and what's special about why you need to take those at the University of Alabama is that they have a university writing requirement. Okay. We also have 3 elective courses or 9 credit hours in our curriculum. And so after all of those general requirements, there are also about 55 or so credit hours of mechanical engineering courses in our curriculum. The mechanical engineering courses are offered through distance by using the video recorded format, and differential equations is also required, and again, that is a course which is not offered through distance to the university. So to be admitted, the same admission requirements as for other students. So you have to have a transfer GPA of 2.0 or higher on at least 24 semester hours, or if you do not have 24 hours of university or community college credit, you need to have a high school GPA of 2.5 or higher. if you graduated at least 4 years prior to the program. If you graduated less than 4 years ago, you need a 3.0 GPA or a GED score of 510. Now, just from practical speaking and familiarity with our program, I would encourage anyone who is thinking about applying to complete Calculus 2 before you apply for the program. That will give you a really good idea if you, in your current situation, if you have adequate time available to commit to these highly technical classes. Now, priority deadlines for admission: March 1st if you want to be admitted for the summer or fall, and November 1st to be admitted to take classes for spring semester. Now, that may seem like it's really far in advance. But part of the reason that we have those long lead times is that every student who is admitted to our program is going to have transfer credit. And many students usually have transfer credit from more than one institution. And while we can admit fairly quickly to do a proper evaluation of all the transfer credit for the students that we have, that takes a while. So I would hazard a guess that probably you cannot be admitted at this time for summer. Again, you could be admitted, but we wouldn't have your transfer credit evaluated before summer classes start. If you want to be admitted for fall semester, even though it's after March 1st, we could probably have that transfer credit evaluated in time for fall semester. Now, if 150 of you apply tomorrow, that may be a whole different story. But if we have just a few people who still want to be admitted for the fall, we could probably get that taken care of.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. And as a distance learner, you will have the access to the same resources available to on-campus students. You are eligible to apply for federal financial aid. Student eligible for military educational assistance may use the educational benefits here at the University of Alabama. Distance learners have access to all university library resources, and that includes access to scholarly databases, assistance with writing and citations, tools and tips for research, and the interlibrary loan program. We also have a dedicated distance learning librarian on staff to assist students as they navigate through the library resources. The Writing Center offers online assistance and tutoring to students who are unable to visit the campus location. The Center for Academic Success provides individualized tutoring, study skill workshops, and exam reviews through web-based methods to meet the needs of distance learning students. Blackboard tutorials are available to those who have never taken online courses before. And for our tuition, our distance learners, students don't have to pay out-of-state tuition. They can pay a flat hourly tuition rate regardless of residency, and this rate does not include any applicable course fee or books. Students have the options to purchase access to the Student Health Center and the Student Recreation Center, but students have to be enrolled as an on-campus student in order to be eligible for athletic tickets. The College of Continuing Studies offers scholarships to students who are enrolled in degree program facilitated through continuing studies. You must be currently admitted or accepted for admission in order to apply. Applications are accepted year-round, and scholarships are rewarded each semester. And now I'd like to share some information about the university and the College of Engineering. The university was established in 1831 as the state's first public college. Approximately 38,000 students attended UA, with about 5,500 of those students enrolled in a in graduate degree programs, and about 4,800 enroll in distance learning programs. We are an accredited and reputable institution. The College of Engineering was established in 1837 and offered 4 degree programs for distance learning students. Almost 5,550 students are enrolled in the College of Engineering and work with over 130 faculty members in various fields of studies. The College of Engineering devoted over $32 million to research on an annual basis. All undergraduate programs are also accredited by Engineering Accreditation Commission of ABET. And as mentioned earlier, in the next few days, you will receive an email with information that includes important website addresses and contact information, as well as link to record sessions. So you'll be able to review it if you'd like to watch it again. And that will conclude our presentation. Now we're open the floor for questions. I will read out the questions, and Dr. Todd will help me with answering the questions. First question I have: is the quality of the videos pretty good for online courses? Can they be rewatched?
Well, if you would like me to answer that based on, so I've never watched these videos, but based on what the students have told me, they are very high quality. If there is ever any technical difficulty or issue watching the video, if you let us know, there are a number of folks in the College of Continuing Studies who will get right on it.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. And for the video, students can rewatch them. However, you can only rewatch them within the semester that you're enrolled into that particular class. Let's say if you finish this semester and to the next semester you enroll into a different class, of course those videos will no longer be available for you. Next question I have: can you transfer classes from 4 years institution? I think I missed that part.
Yes, you can. It needs to be an equivalent course, of course, but yes, you can transfer classes. That's why you're allowed 50% of the credits from a 2-year college, but you only have to complete 25% from the University of Alabama. So if you have some additional credits that are from a 4-year institution, you have the opportunity to transfer them.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next I have: often there's a difference between minimum requirements and the actual acceptance threshold. My GPA is pretty unfortunate, made a lot of mistakes in the past. What's the outlook?
I don't feel qualified to answer that question. I don't know if there's anyone from continuing studies who can answer that question or not.
And I will, Charles, I will email you after this session regarding to the admission requirements and the admission process for that one. Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next questions I have: for AEM 251, NE 360, NE 460, it said it must be taken at Gaston or Tuscaloosa. Any change of being able to take it in HSV?
So at the moment, we have not talked with any of the local institutions in Huntsville about housing our courses so they could do our laboratories. Yeah, it would be possible, I think, at like a Calhoun Community College maybe if they were interested in doing that. We are, as a university, we are in the process of hiring additional faculty, and it would definitely require additional faculty or graduate students to be able to offer those courses at more than one location. So we are probably not looking at the immediate future to think about Huntsville unless someone just comes, like a Boeing company or someone comes to us and says, we think this is a really great idea, we have a number of employees we want to see do this, and here's a large amount of money to make it happen. Then it could happen relatively quickly. So there's no foreseeable plan, but it's not completely out of the question.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. And Hugo, if you don't mind, I will send a private chat, and if you can send me your email address, I will assist you with reaching out to your advisor in order to register for classes. And I have one more question. It's from a student asking for international student admission. We do have a different admission requirement for international students, and I will make sure that I'll have the link sent out to the admission requirements sent to you after this session. And please be aware that because this is a primarily online program, there are lab sessions that you'll need to be able to attend. George, if you don't mind, just we will open up a private chat for you, and if you could just send us your email address, we'll make sure that we'll reach out to you regarding to advising. Next question I have, I am having trouble finding an equivalent to ENGR Engineering 103 in my area. Is there a syllabus so that I can find it? That I can find an appropriate class? Will Engineering 103 be offered online in the future?
Currently, there is no plan to offer ENGR 103 online. However, we are having some administrative transition, and I could foresee that in the future that we might be able to do that. So there's that. I will also say that we're pretty liberal in what we will accept in place of ENGR 103. So if you have any type of introductory engineering course and you want to ask if we would accept it, you could just send an email and we'll give you a thumbs up or thumbs down, probably a thumbs up. So that would be, don't let ENGR 103 be a showstopper, I guess is my best advice.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next question I have, are distance courses pre-recorded and available to view at our convenience, or are they live courses viewable via the internet?
So they are recorded as we teach the class, and then they are uploaded, so probably it seems pretty quick to me. I would say within 2 or 3 hours after the class is over, the recording is available to you, and then you have access to that recording through the end of the course.
Next question I have, can classes be taken part online and part on campus?
That is probably frowned upon at many administrative levels, partly because of the different tuition rates. However, I would say that would be doable, but you would be considered an on-campus student if you did that. And you would be paying the on-campus tuition rate if you did that.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next I have, are the 3 required labs offered on the weekends?
Yes, we teach those labs traditionally on Saturdays. So we have been doing this long enough that in a semester for any of those courses, there are probably 6 or 7 lab experiences, but for the distance students, AEM 251, they have it pared down to 2 Saturdays, and ME 360 and ME 460 are each pared down to 3 Saturdays. So you're doing multiple labs on a Saturday. So you're going from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or so on that Saturday doing different labs.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next, I have when we have to travel to the campus, where do we stay? Is there lodging on special hotel rates?
At the present time, we have not created any type of special hotel rates. Both Gadsden has a number of hotels in a variety of ranges available, and Tuscaloosa does as well. There are certain times of the year when it is difficult to find hotel rooms in Tuscaloosa, and if for some reason we were doing the lab in Tuscaloosa, we would not have labs on those days. But most of our labs traditionally are going to be held in Gadsden.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. And George, if you don't mind, I'm checking on the bottom of your left-hand side underneath the chat box. We have invited you to a private chat. If you could just access the private chat and provide us with your email, we'll make sure that we're going to send you the information that you need. Next question I have completed a transfer program for another 4-year college. I have a number of courses that would transfer. Is there a formal process to have courses evaluated that are not on the transfer equivalence chart? Example, engineering, comm graphics, intro to electrical engineering, static, CAM 2, etc.
Yes. Is the short answer to your question. Yes, when you apply for admission, part of the process is that you're expected to submit formal copies of your transcript of what you've already completed, and then we go through the transfer credit evaluation at that time. It's really quick for classes that are on the transfer credit table, but we realize in this program, because of the wide geographic distribution, there will probably be courses that are not on that table, and then we go through a rather tedious process, but we do go through the process of finding out about the courses and verifying whether or not they are equivalent. As part of that process, we may request for you to send us copies of the syllabi for those courses.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next question I have, can credits from a completed undergrad degree apply to this degree?
Yes. So first of all, if you have completed a bachelor's degree already, those first 30 credits, well, some of those 30 credits, things like English composition, history, behavioral sciences, humanities, you don't have to take those. If in a previous degree you've completed Calculus 1, 2, and 3, and you have enough credit hours and you have appropriate grades, then we're not going to make you retake them. If you've taken statics, we're not going to make you retake statics. So that will all be done as part of the transfer credit evaluation.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next I've seen there's a CAT course in the prerequisites. I'm a professional certified CAT technician. Can I get out this requirement?
Unfortunately, as part of the ABEC process, we need somehow to have university credit attached to whatever CAD you are getting credit for. So if you've taken a course from a university somewhere, we'll transfer the credit that way. but we can't just rely upon the certification to give you credit for the CAD.
Next question I have, what specialties can be selected in the senior year?
Well, that's an interesting question. It is possible to do some specialties depending upon what electives you take. So we definitely have some specialties in the energy area. We have specialties in vibrations and controls. And we have a few other specialties as well. I'm trying to think particularly what courses have traditionally been offered as distance courses. However, because of the course offering sequence and the fact that these courses need to be offered or taken as distance learning courses, students tend not to create a specialty. They just take some classes. Our on-campus students pretty much do the same thing. In the future, as I said, we're going through some administrative changes. That may change in another year or two. We may have some specific things or a list of courses that you could take if you wanted to specialize, say, in automotive or in robotics. But right now, it's kind of catch as catch can.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next question I have, is there still a facility for labs in Dothan, Alabama? We still have the lab location in Dothan, Alabama. Just to recap, all of the labs location that we offer will be in Alabama, and that will be in Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, and Dothan, Alabama. And for Dothan location, that will be at our Gaston location. Next question I have, how far back can credits be transferred?
Undergraduate credits never expire. So I guess what we would counsel you on is, let's say that 10 or 15 years ago you took statics and then changed your major out of engineering. In theory, you can use that statics credit, but if the next course you're going to take is dynamics and you haven't seen, if you haven't drawn a free body diagram in 15 years, you might want to do some sort of review, either formally or informally. But the credits themselves never expire.
Next question is from Jordan. Is there a direct contact for following up? Jordan, if you want, you can always reach out to me at dan.bama.ua.edu, and I'll be more than happy to assist you with the admission process. If you have any further questions regarding to the program, we have Dr. Todd contact. That will be btodd@eng.ua.edu. But feel free to reach out to me first, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. Next question I have, I already have a 4-year degree. Is the 50% max transfer credit for the core courses or all the requirements such as general education classes?
Okay, so the 50% limitation is for any course that will apply from the degree to the degree, but that is only limited to courses that come from a 2-year program. So if you have a 4-year degree, depending on what the credits are, you may be able to transfer more than 50% of the courses.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next I have, can you describe the schedule for the on-campus required classes? How do students who have to travel from out-state manage on the on-campus courses?
Okay. I think I understand the question. So, AEM 251, we're trying to offer it every fall and spring semester. So whenever you reach the point in the program where you would be able to take that, you would have to travel to Alabama for 2 Saturdays. In the fall, traditionally, we offer the ME360 course. So there is a video lecture that goes along with the laboratory. And at the appropriate times, then there will be 3 times that you would need to travel to Alabama. And then in the spring, traditionally, we offer ME460. So again, there's a lecture that goes along with that course. And when the appropriate weekends for the lab, there would be 3 weekends that you would need to travel to Alabama.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next is I have how many students are enrolled in the program? What is the average time it takes to complete the program?
I think roughly we have about 165 distance students in our program, and we have about 1,540 on-campus students in our program. So for the distance students, it really depends on a number of things. So for instance, we had a student who, started to take my class in the summer one year and then realized, well, maybe she didn't realize it quite at the beginning of summer because that would have been long enough. But anyway, she started asking me questions because she was expecting a baby at the end of summer and wanted to know about the end of summer workload and whether that would work out for her. So she decided to wait a year to take that class. So there are a number of life issues that each of us has that will have the tendency to delay. Usually they never speed up, but have a tendency to delay the amount of time it may take you to get your degree. Many of you are going to come in at different places in the degree program. So again, that where you come in and what courses you already may have credit for are going to affect how long it takes you to complete the degree. I am going to hazard a guess that for the average student, you're probably looking at 2 to 3 years to complete the degree. And that is a student that has probably all their sophomore credits done and maybe even have some credit for some of their junior courses, and they're just trying to wrap up the courses, the last 45 or so credit hours. And then, of course, that just depends on what their work obligations are, what their family obligations are. But there is a lot of variability in how long it takes our on-campus students to complete the degree program, and certainly even more for the distance students.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next, I have what percentage of graduates are employed in the engineering field within 6 months of graduation? What is their average salary? And could you share a complete list of employers over the last 3 years?
Okay. Well, I didn't hear the last part, but let me answer the first 2 parts. We do a survey of our graduates. We do not have it split out between distance and on-campus students, but over 85% of our graduates have some type of professional commitment after they graduate. Now, some will go on to graduate school full-time. Others, the majority of our students do go into the workforce. Salary, it depends a lot on where you end up working. I usually tell students that salary depends on what type of industry you're going to work in. So some of our graduates, they go up to Huntsville and they may work at a government facility, and the government has great benefits, but their starting salaries are not necessarily the best. We have other students who graduate. I was just talking with one yesterday who's gone to work for Exxon. The petroleum industry pays incredibly well, probably more than twice as what the government will pay for starting engineer positions. And so I would say the average is somewhere between $70,000 and $75,000 a year. But there's a whole lot of variation of that on both sides.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. The last question was, can you share a complete list of employers that hire graduates over the last 3 years?
I don't have that information. One thing you could do is you could contact the Career Center and see if they have that information readily available. I can share the co-op employer list because we have a list made up, and so we share that regularly with prospective students. What we can do is we can send a copy of that list over to the College of Continuing Studies and have them share that out with all of you if that would work.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next, I have how available are teaching assistants or the instructors to answer questions from online students, and how long does it take for a response? Can you share recent survey or questionnaire feedback from graduates?
I don't know that we ask questions about that on our graduation survey. However, I can tell you that for most of us, we try to be fairly prompt in our responses. So typically our responses are going to be by email, and I would say certainly within 24 hours. It's certainly going to vary from person to person, and there may be certain times when someone might be away at a conference where it will take longer to get a response, but we do try to be fairly prompt in our responses.
Next, I have, are the labs completed within a week or a weekend visit?
Week on a Saturday.
Thank you. And next, I have, just to clarify, ME 360 and ME 460 are taken as full semester classes on campus?
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next I have, if I have, are the labs part of a full class, or is it just the days at UA?
Okay, so I'll try to explain because I may have messed up that last question. So there is a lecture, and the lecture will either meet twice a week or 3 times a week, depending on whether it is a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class or a Tuesday, Thursday class. And the lecture is recorded, and the lecture will run throughout the entire semester. And then at certain days, certain weekends during the semester, the labs will be held. And usually what we do is we will run the labs about a month apart. So the first time you go to the lab, you'll be doing labs 1 through 3, and then about a month later, you'll be doing 4 through 6, and then about a month later, you'll be doing 7 through 9.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next I have, if I have a question that confuses me, can I talk to the instructor?
Yes. And as I said, a lot of that conversation is probably going to be done electronically. I will say I haven't really mentioned at all talking about our 2 senior design courses, ME 489 and ME 490. But in those classes, you will be working as part of a team. And in those classes, you will also be conversing with the instructor by phone. So that whole teleconference idea starts to click in on some of those courses that come later in the curriculum.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next we have, what are the options for science electives? Chemistry, biology?
Okay, so chemistry, yes. Biology, and on our campus, so astronomy, geology, geography, nuclear physics, any of those courses will satisfy the science elective requirements. But I would say the most common ones are going to be either second chemistry or biology. And many students who may already have college credit probably took a science class in there. And unless it was general chemistry 1 or physics, then that class will become the science elective. So we will look back at your transcript and see if there's something that you've already taken that we can use as a science elective.
Next I have, can we apply after finishing Calculus 2?
Yes.
Next I have, living on the Gulf course, if during this semester my area is hit with a hurricane, how would that affect the semester? Will I be able to make up work once things in my area return to normal?
Yes, I think that's one of the benefits of the distance program. So what typically happens, and please correct me if I'm wrong about this, as the semester winds down, the faculty are asked if all of the distance students have completed the course. In that case, if the answer is yes, then you're locked out of the video. But we also have the opportunity to give you an incomplete. So we can carry on into the break, into the summer, whatever the next time period is, and allow you to finish the course. And so that, in the case of a natural disaster, that would be a perfectly reasonable thing to do.
Next question I have, are the classes set up to work at your own speed, or are they structured the same as being on campus? Do you have to meet online at a particular time for a class?
So the classes follow kind of the same semester time period as our on-campus classes. And you will be expected to take, so for instance, final exams are next week. I'm teaching a distance class. The on-campus students take the final exam on Tuesday. I am allowing distance students to take it either Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday of next week. So they have a 4-day window to schedule their final exams. You can watch the videos anytime. So they're available over the internet. And it's there, and just whenever you want to watch them, it's fine.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next I have, is Physics 2 a prereq for this program? Can I enroll in the course at a community college and still be admitted into the program?
It's not a prerequisite for the program, but you will have to complete Physics 2 before you can take the circuits course.
Next I have, if I do distance learning for 1 year, can I then begin attending classes physically at the university, or do I have to create a new admission application? For this question, I'm sorry, go ahead, Dr. Todd.
Well, I was going to say, probably someone wiser than me needs to answer this question.
I was going to say that if you apply as a distance learning student and would like to switch over to on-campus, we do have a coordinator in our office who you will need to contact, and you have to submit that request. If it is approved, you will be able to switch over to become an on-campus student. However, we do not have the option for students to switch back and forth from distant to on-campus and then distant. The reason behind that is because of our affordable tuition rate. If a student switch back and forth, it will mess up with the tuition rate for that student, and eventually it affects your financial aid. Next question I have, how long are we on campus for required lab sessions? And I believe Dr. Todd have already answered the questions for us. And that will be a Saturday on the weekend, on a Saturday, once per month on a Saturday. Did I got it right?
Yes.
Next question I have, I need an advisor to be able to communicate with as I'm currently doing my associate at Gaston State. Who can I communicate future questions about classes with? I've reached out previous to this seminar but have no response or callback.
So as you can imagine, with all the students we have, our advisors are really busy. And sometimes we all get a little bit overwhelmed with the number of students that we have. So please be persistent. And you are welcome to email me. And if it's a question that I'm not entirely sure of, I can walk down the hall and talk to the advisors. Or you're also welcome to email the advisors. But I will say that currently we have a vacancy in advising. So they are super overwhelmed by the number of students that we have. And so maybe reaching out to me might be the best bet.
Next question I have, what are the rules for dropping a class if the need were to arise?
They are the same as for our on-campus students, I believe. And so you can do it over the internet. And you withdraw from the course. Now there is this odd rule, so you can drop a course, no problem. If you drop all your classes, that's considered the same as disenrolling from the university, and then there's some extra things that come into play in terms of getting back in the next semester.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next I have, you said we might not be able to enroll for fall since it's too late. I have the prerequisites done now, and if I can get into the fall semester, that would be great.
Okay. So hopefully you've already applied, but if not, please get that in as soon as possible, and we'll do our best to get you going.
Next I have, must we transfer all credits from any institution attended, even if it has been over 5 years?
So transfer credit is a little bit odd. So you apply for admission, you send your transcripts. All of the courses you've taken will be looked at. They may all be transferred, but that doesn't mean they all apply to our degree. So yes, even those courses that are more than 5 years ago can be transferred. We may decide in kind of just in some informal discussion, we may decide that it may be to your benefit to retake a course that you have transfer credit for. And that there's nothing wrong with that. If we think that in terms of, the fact that you're rusty on a skill that you're really going to need for the next course, if we think that's the best path forward.
Next I have, since I plan on transferring from an accredited institution, shouldn't all the classes taken transfer equally?
Hopefully. It depends on so assuming if you are studying mechanical engineering at that institution, pretty much, unless they have something really odd in their curriculum, everything should transfer. However, if you were studying civil engineering, for instance, at that institution. There might be some courses like surveying that will transfer to the university but won't transfer to our degree program.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. And just an add up, I will include a link to the transfer of credit equivalency table that is posted on our registrar website, registrar.ua.edu, and that table will show you which credits will be transferable to UA and which one will not. Just a quick note, any courses that have the code number 197 or 97, those will be counted in as elective. Next question I have, is there a platform for students to collaborate for studies and homework? We do have a platform designed specifically for our distance learning students to communicate. That will be our Slack channel, and the link to the Slack channel will be available to students once they've been admitted to our programs and join the Bama Ready orientation. Next question I have, do you have partnerships with employers?
So I'm not entirely sure what you mean by partnership. We do have a number of employers who come to campus regularly to interview students for positions. We have employers that interact regularly with the co-op office who contact us because they are interested in hiring students for internships, co-op, or permanent positions. We also have a number of employers who come regularly to campus to speak to our students. So that's some of the typical interaction that we have with employers.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next I have, is Engineering Foundation offered online?
Currently it is not. But I think I mentioned earlier, I am quite liberal with what I will accept as transfer credits for that course. Also, due to some pending retirements, potentially in a year or so, we might be able to start offering that as a distance course. But don't let that prevent you or cause you to delay, because if you have, we will do our best to find something to substitute in for Engineering Foundation.
Next question I have, is the FE exam offered to the BamaByDistance?
Okay, so the FE exam is currently offered by a company called NCEES, which I think stands for National Council of Examinations for Engineers and Surveyors. So it's not actually, technically it's not offered by the university, although we are one of hundreds of locations across the United States that does offer the exam. So since you're distance students, probably you will want to take the exam at a location that is closer to where you are. In one of our classes, one of our senior classes, we talk about the process for taking the FE exam. But if somebody thinks they're ready to do that sooner, we could definitely talk offline about where you are and what you would need to do to sign up and register for the exam.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next I have, are there any credits offered for any type of work experience?
Essentially, no.
Next I have, how many summer classes are you allowed to take?
Well, for our on-campus students, since we have a compressed summer, we strongly discourage them taking more than, say, 13 credits in the summer. We do, because it is a compressed schedule, we do only offer a couple of our distance courses in the summer. So primarily distance students are taking classes in the fall and spring.
Thank you, Dr.
So for full-time students, the very maximum would be 13 credits.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next, I have, do online students qualify for football ticket lotteries? Then, unfortunately, you have to be enrolled as an on-campus in order to qualify for football tickets, and that includes also for the lotteries. Next, I am transferring physics from Mississippi State. That physics only counts as 3 credits. I see that yours count 4. Will I have to retake the course?
It depends. Okay, so my first question would be, does those 3 credits, did you have a lab when you were in Mississippi State? And if the answer is that the lab was a separate course, you will need to take that separate lab course. We also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 faculty. So we've kind of rated Mississippi State faculty. So we have 5 faculty who are from Mississippi State. They can really help me make sure I do all the transfer credit correctly. So if they did some odd thing at Mississippi State with their physics, and those 3 credits include a lab, we will need to make sure you have enough total credits of math and science courses, and if you do, we will just continue onward. You don't necessarily have to retake it. But if the physics was only a lecture and there is no lab, you need to find a 1-credit physics lab to take.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next, I have our graduate course available online. We have begun offering our distance, our master's program as a distance program. So those courses, yes, are available online. And we are also working on offering our PhD program as an online program. So the thing, just be aware that you have to be accepted into what we call the Accelerated Master's Program in order to be allowed to take a graduate level course. So we do not necessarily let just any undergraduate student take graduate level courses. You have to either be admitted to the master's, you essentially have to be admitted to the graduate school to take graduate level courses. But you can do it online. Thank you, Dr. Todd. Next I have, are there business and entrepreneurship electives?
There may be some courses that may have a little bit of a business flavor, but I would say that typically you're going to be, we're a mechanical engineering degree, we want you to take mechanical engineering electives. So you're going to be taking mechanical engineering electives.
Next I have you had any active military students that successfully complete the program, including the labs?
Yes, but I think he may have been in the reserves. So yeah, we had a helicopter pilot guy who completed the program, and I think he may be in our distance graduate program right now. But he is stationed in Montgomery, Alabama at Fort Rucker. So that made it easy for him to do that.
Thank you, Dr. Todd. And I can see that we don't have any more questions. You have, on the page, it will have my email address. Feel free to contact me if you have any further questions about the program. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions, and that will conclude our presentation. Thank you so much for joining us for our online information session about the Bachelor degree in Mechanical Engineering program. Row tie and have a wonderful one. Thank you, Dr. Todd, for joining us today.